Welcome back to the Flag on the Play podcast. I'm Caden.
And I am Caleb.
And we are out of the studio, unfortunately, the week that this airs. So we want to do something a little bit special just because we couldn't be there for the normal weekly roundup. So we're going to do our NFL awards show today. So I think we have differing picks for every award but one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of these awards, there's like 3 or 4 candidates that you can make a case for. So we'll also kind of go over that and say who all the candidates were, at least in our opinion.
Deserving people.
Yeah, for sure.
By all means, yes.
So our first award is Defensive Player of the Year. I have Micah Parsons. I just think like his impact, I think the Cowboys defense in general is one of the best, and I think he is the leader of that defense. He is such a versatile player. I watched the Packers-Cowboys game this past week, and he's a defensive end, but he can also go back into coverage and play like a safety because he's so fast and so strong. Like he played there was one series where he played safety on first down, or like a nickel strong safety type of thing, and then linebacker on second down, and then third down he went to rush the passer. He is incredible. He's so versatile, and I think he's gonna win more awards than just the first one this year.
I think he is the non-field general quarterback, because quarterbacks are the field generals for the offense. Well, he is in my opinion, the best field general for.
And
the
he was
defense.
so good, so fast too, which is the interesting thing. He was the D. Roy last year, and he's just been amazing since the first day he got in the league.
And then he's only in his second year, so I would agree with that. But that probably will be him. I'll even admit it. It probably will be him.
He was the favorite.
He deserves
coming into the
it.
year.
He's the favorite, and he's definitely showed up. Someone else I'd like to mention is Matt Judon, who has 11 and a half sacks. And, if he keeps that up, then he's definitely in the conversation. But I like to pay attention to everything.
Zadarius Smith, too, he's also right up there in sacks. And it kind of sucks that the Packers had to get rid of him, but he was just so expensive. But he's just been a monster off the edge, getting sacks in those big, crucial third downs, especially I think he had one in the Bills game on third down. So he is also in the running for sure.
And I think why am I blanking? Darius Slay should also be in heavy consideration. But there is one. This is such a hot take, but there is one corner who I think is better than him, and this has actually happened in NFL history before. A rookie has won Defensive Player of the Year. Lawrence Taylor did it in his first year, and we all know how good he was. Mm-hmm. Honestly, can be considered one of the best football players ever.
100%.
I'm picking Sauce Gardner.
It's a good pick. I think what's going to happen is he gets to play Diggs again, I believe. I don't know if they've played the Jets twice. But he's got a couple good AFC receivers that he's got to go against, and I think he might get torched a little by Tyreek Hill. But midseason, I really like the pick. When you told me, I was like, that's definitely an interesting one because not a lot of people are going to think of him as Defensive Player of the Year. I think he's a shoo-in for Defensive Rookie of the Year. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
But it's definitely a good pick.
Yeah, look, every time I watch him play, he's so shut down. And, Darius Slay is as well. I think they're easily the two, all-pro, first-team all-pro corners as of right now. I just – watching him play is unbelievable. I watched him play Amari Cooper week 2 when we choked that game away. He shut him down. Amari had one reception for 7 yards or something. And I just think he's done that to so many top receivers and even at that, good route runners too. Mm-hmm. Amari Cooper is a standout route runner, and to do that, to keep up with them, it's just incredible to watch. And I think that especially cornerbacks and safeties don't get enough consideration for this award. I feel like the flashier stats, I guess the interceptions if you're Trevon Diggs, but I think the sacks and, picks, especially for – I just think the flashier stats are looked at way too much.
I think it's interesting. The thing with
just look at the tape. That's what I said. Just look at the tape.
The thing with defensive backs is if you're really good at it, your name doesn't never get called. So Jair Alexander's a top 3 or 4 lockdown corner in my opinion. They don't say his name because he never gets picks because he never gets thrown at in general. And there's not a lot of positions like that, like corner, where the less your name is called, the better you are. I think O-line is kind of the same way, obviously, but Sauce Gardner's been playing amazing. Love to see a Cincinnati guy find success in the NFL. Yeah.
He already has found his success, but if he could do this, seriously, the sky's the limit for this kid.
Luke Fickell's raved about him. He had an interview on the Pat McAfee show yesterday, and Luke Fickell just raved about how much of a humble, hard worker he is. He's really a good kid. So I was glad to see a guy from UC play so well in the NFL. Offensive player of the year. I've got Tyreek Hill. He is on track to shatter the receiving yards record. I think he had 1,100 through 9 games or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
He has just been incredible. I mean, Tua is a big part of that too. I think Tua, Mike McDaniel, getting him involved in the offense was incredible. But at the end of the day, his speed is what sets him apart. So he burns people and then he's wide open down the field, and it showed. I think he also leads the league in receptions, not interceptions. He leads the league in receptions as well. So he's just having historically one of the best seasons by a wide receiver ever. So it'll be really. I feel like this is another pick that's really realistic. I feel like this very well could happen unless something happens. So.
Yeah, and you know what? Again,
but the next year pick could also very well happen.
I think my pick could
these
happen,
are definitely the top 2 candidates.
Which I'll get to my pick in a second. But, yeah, Tyreek Hill, I mean, sure, he only had like 45 yards against the Browns, but he can easily just go put up 200 next week and get the average back up to the same. I mean, seriously, it's unbelievable. I believe that out of his 1,150 yards, I think only 300 of them are like yak.
Yeah, so a lot of his is before the catch,
through the
down
air.
the field.
I mean, you know, he is just your deep threat. He is the model deep threat. I feel like, honestly, if he ended his career today, I feel like he would make the Hall of Fame. That's how good he's been his whole career.
He was an integral part of the start of the Kansas City dynasty. I don't think it's over yet, near over, but he was like the start of it for sure.
And now he might be the start of a Miami dynasty. Who knows?
Yeah.
I mean,
we said it 2 weeks ago on the show. I think people sleep on the Dolphins. I think if they make the playoffs, they are very dangerous.
Very, very dangerous, and the numbers don't lie.
Yep.
I mean, I'm not even going to talk about, like, look at the other stats. I mean, 1,150 yards through this many weeks is incredible, and it doesn't take much of a, math brain to see that. There's some – I don't even know. I don't really think there's a lot of other players for consideration. Maybe Saquon if he keeps doing what he's doing, but he's the only running back who I think –
I agree.
I think this year in general,
my pick and your pick are definitely the top 2 candidates.
There's maybe Stephon Diggs if he can somehow catch up.
Yeah.
But I think that he is less likely to catch up than Justin Jefferson, who is my pick. Justin Jefferson is only 100 yards behind Tyreek Hill and has 4 more touchdowns than him and 10 less receptions. With how many yards per catch that he is averaging, if he had as many receptions as Tyreek, he would be above him.
It's insane.
And
he's super young too. I think in 2 years he's going to be, or maybe next year he's going to be the bona fide number 1, and everyone's going to know it. Yeah.
I think ever since he's came to the league, he's made the Vikings offense even better than what it honestly already was.
He broke Randy Moss's records rookie year. Like he's incredible.
And every week just to watch his route running, his hands, he has it all.
Yeah.
And if he got targeted as much, like Cooper Kupp had 140 receptions, 150 receptions last year. Give Justin Jefferson that much, he's shattering every record.
Absolutely.
I was one of the people that thought he would get above 2,000 yards, and that's not going. Well, it could happen. It's probably not going to happen.
Just based on the numbers right now, I don't think that would be possible. I think he has like a 300-yard game here or there.
He could maybe get close, but no, he's probably not going to go above 2,000. However, that OPOY award, if Tyreek Hill starts slowing down, it ain't far away from him.
It's his award for sure.
Because even if he has, let's say he has, I don't know, 100 less yards than him at the end of the year. If Justin Jefferson has like 6 or 7 more touchdowns, then I feel like he would deserve it over Tyreek,
and
unless Tyreek breaks the record.
Yeah,
then.
But Jefferson's been clutch too. I mean, that catch against the Bills was just incredible.
Seriously,
he's going to have he's going to have a lot more clutch games. I mean, the Vikings have been a big fourth quarter comeback team all season long, and I think they're just going to keep doing it because of how explosive they are with him and their offense. So I like the pick, but I mean, I don't think the numbers lie for Tyreek either.
It's another hot take. I like my hot takes. I know I made the point that as of right now, yet I'm making predictions at the same time, but it is what it is. I like your picks. I like my picks. I don't think anything's out of the ordinary here. So
yeah. All right.
You got anything?
Defensive Rookie of the Year. I have Tariq Woolen, the corner from the Seahawks. He's second in interceptions in the NFL. So it kind of depends on what kind of, like Jalen Ramsey put it really well. It's the play style. So like people were saying Trayvon Diggs was better than Jalen Ramsey last year, but he was like, no, he's not. We just played completely different because I don't jump routes, but Diggs does. So it's kind of just like up to the eye of the beholder of who you think is better. I think Tariq Woolen is not a better player than Sauce Gardner, but he's made he's been a better playmaker, and I think the interesting thing about him is he was like a 5th-round pick. And I think that's a great job of the Seahawks and by him to just get his name out there. And he's definitely, I would say, the bona fide all-rookie corner next to Sauce. And I think he's going to be a star in the league for quite some time. So I have Tariq Woolen from the Seahawks as my defensive rookie of the year.
I can't even disagree with that. I mean, him getting picked like that, Richard Sherman was also a 5th-round pick, and I mean, he blossomed. I think the same thing will happen for this kid. I mean, just to watch him, literally he is a game changer. I remember last year, I know every single interception Trevon Diggs got was basically like a game-changing play. That doesn't always happen, but with this kid, it seems to, I mean, he has 1 or 2 touchdowns on the year as well. I mean, he does stuff, and of course he does stuff. Everyone does stuff. But ever since he's gotten to the on the team, the defense has improved mightily because they were. I remember 2 years ago they were like historically garbage. Them and the Cowboys were historically garbage. But it just shows that with good drafting, even if you're Pete Carroll and I swear he spins a wheel and just picks what name is on there. But sometimes it works if you get lucky. And
broken clocks right twice a day.
Yep. I think Tariq Woolen is second on my list.
It's fair.
And obviously, with my pick for Defensive Player of the Year, it wouldn't make sense for me to pick Tariq Woolen as the Rookie of the Year when the Defensive Player of the Year maybe is also a rookie.
Yeah.
So, obviously, Sauce Gardner. I think it's between these two. I don't think anyone else is close. They both have been truly incredible, and if they both could tie for this award, I would say that they both deserve it. But in the end, I got to pick one. I'm going to pick Sauce. I just think Sauce is... He's literally the leader of the defense as a rookie, him or C.J. Mosley. But, I mean, even if you're in consideration to be called a leader as a rookie, like a Micah Parsons, it's a generational talent.
Absolutely. So, Offensive Rookie of the Year, I'm going with Chris Olave. He leads rookies in receiving yards, and the next guy is like 150 behind him. So, I mean, he's just in the thing that kind of stood out to me is he's doing it with Andy Dalton and Taysom Hill, and Jameis Winston's okay when he's healthy, but he hasn't been healthy.
With the broken back.
Yeah, and Michael Thomas has kind of taken some of his targets too. I think if he was a 1 in most offenses with a competent quarterback, he would be breaking a lot of the records that Jefferson set. And as an Ohio State fan, I knew he was going to be great coming out of college, but I didn't know he was going to be great this fast, and he's lit it up, absolutely lit it up.
And I say the same for Garrett Wilson, who probably is the person like 150 behind him. I think they both are fantastic players in their own right. Definitely. I mean, okay, Ohio State's still cooking without them, but not as much, not nearly as much. I mean, they both potentially could be, again, generational talents.
Absolutely.
Obviously, Chris Olave would easily deserve it over Garrett Wilson. I like the pick.
Wilson's been injured too. I think it just comes down to the production, and Olave's been healthy, so he's been producing more. But yeah, he was amazing.
I think he's easily been the best rookie receiver. The all-rookie team, you're definitely going to see Olave on there.
I think another guy we want to mention real quick before you give your pick.
Kenneth Walker.
Kenneth Walker is one, and also Breece Hall. I think if Breece Hall doesn't get injured, he's the clear-cut rookie.
We agreed.
He was incredible before he got injured, but obviously these are projections for this season, and they're not going to give O'Roy to someone who played half the season, unfortunately. So rest up, Breece Hall. We want to see you back next year because he was amazing before he got hurt.
I think he'll be top 5 easily next year, as long as that injury doesn't
Kenneth
get
Walker
to him
as well.
much,
We can start talking about him. Yeah. He didn't have a good first couple weeks of the season, but like the last few weeks, he's been tearing it up.
See, I never had a lot of faith in him, not because I thought he was like bad, but because he was behind Rashad Penny.
Right.
And I know Rashad Penny's injury prone. That's why they spent a second-round pick on Kenneth Walker, and it proved to be worth it because Rashad Penny tore his ACL. Again, big shocker, I know, but I thought Rashad Penny was actually going to have a really good year. I drafted him in fantasy. I thought I was some like Adam Rank guru, but yet again, comparing yourself to Adam Rank sometimes isn't the best thing in the world. And so, in the end, Kenneth Walker ended up getting the job, and he's just been on fire.
Yep.
But I think he's the second best running back who's a rookie, and we all know who
Dameon
I probably
Pierce.
think the best is, and it's Dameon Pierce. If Chris Olave were doing what Chase and or Jefferson were doing,
that's fair. He's definitely not on their level, for sure.
But he just doesn't have the numbers, in my opinion. and I think Dameon Pierce does. Dameon Pierce is top 5 in rushing yards right now as a rookie, behind a Texans O-line who, besides Laramie Tunsil,
not very good outside
it's not
of the left
good.
Tackle position. Yeah,
and I mean, just that whole team is just a dumpster
he's so fun
fire.
to watch, man.
And he's fun to watch.
Like,
I mean,
you hand the ball off and it's like a burst of speed, and then he slows down or trucks someone, and it's a burst of speed again. He is so fun to watch. I didn't even know his name until preseason when he did good, but
without him though, I think the Texans would legitimately maybe go like 0-17.
Scores like 7 points a game. Yeah,
he's the only reason. He is their whole offense, and I think that alone, that gives me Saquon vibes, and I think that's why he should be considered.
That's a good comp for sure.
Offensive Rookie of the Year, but I like the Olave pick.
I like both picks.
Yeah. If Kenneth Walker were to get consideration, I'd like that too. You know, it's definitely a close. Well, some would say it wasn't close, but I think it's kind of close.
Yeah, I would agree that it's close. I feel like Olave has had a better year, but Pierce has had so much impact on the Texans offense that you can't overlook either of them.
Yep, I agree.
Next award, Comeback Player of the Year. I believe this is the only award that we did not split on because it's just so clear to me. It's Geno Smith.
Oh, yeah.
I think the only other candidate was probably Dak, and Geno Smith has outplayed Dak the entire season. So.
I think some people will say Saquon Barkley, and I know why. Like, obviously, Saquon should be in some consideration. Like, if there is a most improved player of the year, I would say Geno should get that.
And because he didn't get injured or anything. He just kind of didn't play for very long.
But AP just kind of combines them both into this award.
Yeah.
And when I have to think, between someone who's been injured for, a year and a half of the last 2 years to come back and do what he's done, compared to someone who was never given a good situation for 10 years and who everyone wrote off, including myself, and understandably why. And he's come back first in the league in completion percentage, third in the league in passer rating, his TD/INT ratio, especially for how many passes he's thrown, which isn't very much. I mean, it's just all incredible to watch, and I think that alone gets him the award. It reminds me of a couple of years ago when Alex Smith got it over Big Ben.
Yeah.
Obviously, Big Ben put up way better stats than him, and he started the whole season. And without Big Ben, their team probably would have been, not where they got, 11-0. But Alex Smith, what he had to go through to come back, I mean, that alone won him the award. And I don't think it's always about stats. I think it's about the situation, and especially when you're someone like Geno Smith, I just think that the award is basically a lock for you.
I think he is a lock.
And I think most people would agree it's either him or it's Saquon, maybe Derrick Henry.
It kind of just depends on what AP's criteria is. So if we're talking strictly injuries, it's clearly Saquon. But I think Geno Smith has literally come back from being a backup for like 9 straight years. I mean, he just kind of bounced around. Didn't really get a great opportunity in New York because of poor ownership and stuff, and now he's got a good coach and he's got good players around him, and he's really, really good. Like, we were talking on the way over here, I don't know if he's a one-year wonder or not, because the mechanical skill isn't something that's a one-year wonder, and he's shown a lot of mechanical skill. So I think as long as his situation doesn't change around him too much, I think he'll be really good again next year.
I can't debate that. I mean, will he be a one-year wonder? I hope not, because he's so fun to watch.
It's a good story, too,
with the receivers.
Absolutely.
And just the whole offense, the revival, which, everyone expected Russell Wilson leaving to be the death of it. And it's funny how things happen.
Have you seen that clip of Ryan Clark where he's, like, analyzing the game? It's like, you guys see this right here? This is very important. It's Drew Lock on the sideline. As long as he stays on the sideline, Seattle will win games.
That was evil.
Even it was so funny. Ryan Clark's a menace, bro.
Even the other announcer, I forget
who it was. That clip was so funny. Because Drew Lock is horrible, too. Like, he's trash.
And everyone thought that he would get the starting job over Geno.
I thought he was going to win it, too.
I thought he would, too, because he's just the younger guy.
Geno's clear cut. I'd say he's a top 7 quarterback.
He might be in the MVP race, but we'll talk about that later. Yeah. Anything else you have to say about it?
I don't think so. I think Geno's definitely the clear answer for Comeback Player of the Year. Next award's Coach of the Year. I think I kind of had a little bit of a hot take for this one. I like Mike McDaniel from Miami. I believe he was in San Francisco last year. I think it was the OC in San Francisco, and they definitely run that West Coast San Francisco offense in Miami. But I think when you have so much talent, like the Dolphins do, Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, a couple good running backs, most of it came with him from San Francisco. It's a lot to break down. It's a lot to keep everybody happy. I feel like, especially good receivers have big egos, and you got to give them the targets so they don't get pissed off and they don't demand more money. And he's just done such a good job managing. I think Tua isn't an incredible quarterback, but Mike McDaniel does such a good job of working around Tua's strengths in the offense, and he's just been able to make Tua look really, really good, which is why we'll talk about later.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to get some MVP votes, and I just think their offense is one of the best in the league. McDaniel's, they're 7-0 when Tua is healthy, so meaning they work really well together. And I'm a big Dolphins guy this year. I think when they get the playoffs, they're gonna knock a team off who they're not supposed to beat.
And they make it look so easy.
Right. I mean,
they went out there against the Browns.
39 up on the Browns.
And I'll admit, I know the Browns have been underachieving, but they have a really good cornerback core.
Yeah.
Martin Emerson, the rookie's really shown up. Greg Newsome is definitely someone who continues to.
And Northwestern, I think.
Yeah, Northwestern. Yeah. He continues to develop, and we all know how good Denzel Ward is when he, isn't like holding something that's broken or injured. But I mean, Tua just went out there and threw dimes. I mean, literally, Greg Newsome had good coverage all game, but there's no way you were knocking the balls away. It was just up to the receiver's hands.
His strength is his accuracy, and Mike McDaniel designs routes for the receivers that help Tua pinpoint the ball and put it right in the right spot. And they're such a good offense.
I mean, he made Trent Sherfield look like a top 10 receiver, and
I mean, like I said, they're 7-0 when Tua's healthy, and I think they're going to keep winning games. And the other thing is he's really good at the podium. He's funny and light, but he's also serious. It's kind of a mix in between, and he's really good at kind of dodging some of the controversial questions that you get thrown at in the podium. And I think the podium talk is a really important trait for a coach. I don't know if it matters for the players, but for a coach, it's very, very important. So
I don't think he's very hot-headed either.
Right.
Tua or Mike McDaniel. I don't think either of them are hot-headed. I think they both are very well-mannered, and the only reason why I don't think Mike McDaniel will win it, and I don't even care about the losses as much as the fact that when Tua isn't on the field, they really didn't look that good. Yeah. I mean, you get blown out 40-17
against the Bengals.
By the Jets.
Yeah, and
then
when
you
Tua
lose
went
to
out,
the Bengals. When Tua went out, I mean, it just kind of shows that without Tua, and look, I know when you lose your best quarterback, your best quarterback, same thing, I guess. When you lose that, it's hard to, win, especially the Tua situation. Definitely shook up the team a lot. But I don't know. I just think, me personally, I think it's Brian Daboll.
It's fair.
Like the Giants may actually
I think he's probably the favorite. I think he's going to win it.
I think he's going to win it too. I mean, they might have a flipped record. I mean, I don't know what they went last year. 6 and 11.
You might be right. They might
5
literally
and 12.
flip it.
They might literally flip their record. And Brian Daboll did this in Buffalo when he went with Josh Allen, as we talked about earlier. And I'm not saying Daniel Jones is some generational talent now or anything, but he does his job.
That's what I think. Daniel Jones isn't a generational talent, so it's very impressive that Daboll has got him looking like he is one, if that makes sense.
I mean, he does his job. If he has to be clutch, he is clutch, but otherwise he's just a game manager.
Hands
Give it to Saquon. Throw it to Saquon. Just let Saquon play every position, I guess.
Let Saquon block for himself. Let Saquon play quarterback. Oh, wait, never mind.
Just do a Madden league where it's just all Saquon. But, there are some other considerations, like Kevin O'Connell.
O'Connell for the Vikings,
definitely should be considered.
Nate Hackett's an incredible coach. I could even say it with a straight face. Not Nate Hackett. But I don't know if Mike McDaniel's even really going to get considered. I don't know if as many people are thinking about the Dolphins as I am. I think Daboll is probably your favorite right now. I don't look at the odds for these awards, but Daboll's
Nick
probably
Sirianni might be the favorite
Sirianni, yeah. But like I said, I think the Eagles are going to start to lose a couple games, and then he's not going to be the favorite anymore.
You notice something with all these coaches, though? They're either freshmen or sophomores in their craft. They're not even the old coaches. I understand when you're way older than
I guess
your
Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll, I think, would be a candidate.
Might be in consideration.
Just because he doesn't have much to work with, and they're a good team. But
I think it's more the players than him, though. I don't know. I've just never seen him as he's a good guy, and he's not a terrible coach, but I've never seen him as a standout coach.
Bro goes crazy on the bubble gum on the sideline. His jaw's gotta hurt, dude. It's kind of funny, but
cramps.
Yeah, I like the Daboll pick a lot for sure.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think this is definitely one of those that isn't clear cut yet. And
yeah,
we're
for
gonna
sure.
Have to see what the teams look like at the end of the year. One of them could get injured a bunch. Another team could explode, like the Raiders, of course. And then Josh McDaniel gets up there. Yeah.
If Josh McDaniel wins Coach of the Year,
the world has stopped spinning.
I was thinking of some like dare I should do on the podcast, but it's not even worth entertaining because he's not even going to get a vote. So
no.
MVP. Let's move on.
MVP.
We want to talk about some candidates before we get into it. I think for probably the first 6-7 weeks, I think Lamar was the favorite.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if Lamar picks up where he left off after the bye week, I think he could get himself back in the race for sure. Patrick Mahomes was probably the biggest candidate that neither of us picked just because he's kind of a LeBron where he's going to be a candidate every year until he retires. And I
think voter fatigue will kill some of his chances.
That's what killed LeBron. I mean, he should have won it so many years in Cleveland. Now we're talking about basketball, but that's what's going to happen with Mahomes as well. I think it kind of happened with Tom Brady as well. And I think Mahomes is just so great that year in and year out, he's going to have to break some sort of record to win himself another MVP.
Or just be stand out among everybody else.
Right, so everybody else,
even more superhuman than he already is.
Right, which I don't know is possible.
Kind of reminds me of Russell Westbrook a little bit. Sure, he held the ball a lot, so he got the opportunities to do what he did, but also he did what he did with the opportunities. I mean, seriously, to average a triple-double like that, I mean, that's incredible. It is incredible, and I just feel like after the first year he did it, like his MVP votes, if you look, they just went down and down more and more because it just became
even though
less
he did
and less
it
impressive.
The next year,
Exactly.
So I think voter fatigue is definitely going to hit Mahomes hard, which is unfortunate because he's a generational talent. So we said Lamar, Mahomes.
If Geno somehow
if Geno Smith leads them to like a 14-3 record, you might get it.
I mean,
or 13-4.
He's got the passer rating and the completion percentage. I just think the touchdowns got to go up a little bit.
Yeah, he doesn't really. I don't know if he's got a signature win yet either. You know what I mean? Like he has. Name the great team that he's beaten? They haven't really beat a great team.
The Giants.
The Giants aren't a great team. The Giants are a good team.
I'm kidding. Yeah, I agree with that. I think that he's a Pro Bowler.
I think
but
if they sweep the Niners, he might get it. Mm-hmm. But I don't think they're going to sweep the Niners.
Josh Allen was kind of in it and then
until
he threw himself
I think the last 2-3 games he's kind of taken himself out of the race. I mean, we've always known that he's kind of interception prone. So we don't have too much time left. So I'm going to go ahead and say my pick for MVP is Jalen Hurts.
I like it.
8-1 through 9 weeks, best record in the NFL, tied with the Vikings, but best record in the NFL. I think his intangibles are really, really good. I mean, the Eagles tend to just feed off of his energy. I feel like he's always kind of been an underdog because he had to transfer in college. He got drafted in the second or third round, I believe, second round. And then people last year, or his first year they started, they were like, he's not going to be a starting quarterback. He's just a bridge guy. And now he is a top 5 quarterback, at least this season. I don't think he will be next year, but Jalen Hurts is my MVP.
He's got 15 touchdowns through the air and 7 on the ground.
He's running it better than Lamar, really. I think Justin Fields is probably the only guy running it better than Jalen Hurts right now.
And I think, if you look at his rushing and passing, he has one of the top passer ratings, one of the top average, yards per attempt. I think all of this comes into consideration, and I think he's my number 2.
Yeah.
But I have one that is
This
even
is kind
higher.
of a hot take.
And this is a hot take, but I believe it's still possible. And I think Tua deserves it because Tua leads average yards per attempt. He leads passer rating. He is top 3 in touchdowns.
Yeah.
And he's only thrown 3 picks.
The numbers don't lie. 3 picks is incredible.
The numbers don't lie. And he honestly hasn't thrown as many passes as like a Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
I mean, he's up there, but he ain't like, up there. And to have 2 receivers in the top 4, I mean, all of this stuff has to come into consideration at some point. And sure, he missed 3 games, and that's probably why he won't win it. But he's catching up to them even with the 3 games lost. And I think
if he doesn't miss another game, he's got a shot, but I think the missed time is definitely going to hurt him in the long run.
And it sucks because in reality, he deserves it more than anybody else. I think he's been the best quarterback this year. Without him, they can't win.
Right, absolutely. I mean, they're 0-3 without him, 7-0 with him. Mm-hmm. And that shows how good you are when your team can't win without you. Another thing you said was if he didn't get hurt, he probably wins the MVP, and people probably see him as the favorite today if he didn't get injured. So it's kind of a tough break for him, but I think he's going to be really good for years to come. So.
Still think he's got a chance at the AP2 spot, second team All-Pro spot.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, we will see you all next week. Have a good Thanksgiving.